G'day everyone, Duckville here, bringing you the grand final from the IPSL, a little Korean tournament that went down recently. Replay sent in by my man dtgSickness, who is just over here on the top right hand side of GSL Antigua Shipyard. So we're starting off here with him in the purple. His opponent is just across to the bottom left hand side in the yellow. As the Zerg, it is Leon Zenamoon, who is also known as, or I suppose his main name is Zenex Pet, who has competed in GSL once, I believe, and has also been in a couple of the some of the other KSL style tournaments. Yeah, he's a very good Zerg player, and we'll see these guys fighting it out here for the championship in this this tournament. We'll find out what goes on. Obviously, in the previous games that we had from Sickness, he did a very nice DT timing attack on this map against his previous opponents, Sin and Shin. And then of course he used some other strategies, an interesting defense against a proxy hatch. We saw that on Metalopolis, and then in game number 3, a very nice blink timing to make sure he was defended against Mutas, and then a minor base race. So I hope you guys have all checked those out, because I've just spoiled them all. Haha! Anyway, I am going, just while we're sort of waiting for this game to get a little bit more interesting, I'm going to be doing some casts, mainly going to be looking at players who are high masters or in grandmasters who don't have a team or who have an interesting style. Couple of examples. We saw Sterling in a previous game just recently. That wasn't actually the particular style of cast I'm going to be looking for, but what this will be for is just looking at the player, promoting their stream, their Twitter, that sort of thing, just to give back a little bit back to the community, so that I can hopefully help out with some people getting into a nice team, or perhaps you know, getting them some more attention on their stream, that sort of thing, so they can proceed up through the ranks, as it were. So look out for those coming soon. I've just got to wait on a couple of things to get started, and then I'll be able to do that. And then, yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, if you have a Masters player or a Grandmasters player who you love to watch and just doesn't get any attention at all, make sure you hit me up, let me know, and I'll see if I can grab some casts from them, and we'll definitely try and get them a little bit more exposure. But we saw just before that Sickness actually opened up without a full block at the wall. He's in fact only just getting the wall in started now. There is a cyber here using that the pylon to block off the wall. I'm still not exactly sure what the benefit of that is. I tell you what, I'm going to actually ask him on Twitter, and then I'll post in an annotation on this video why he does that. But it's an interesting way to wall. It was actually something that used to be used back in the beta, so a little bit surprised that he's doing it that way. But here we go. It looks as if some lings have come out here from Pet. He's going to be able to take care of that probe. Didn't actually get too much of a block done on this hatchery, but it is on the way. This map it can be quite nice to go for just a quick third base if you are able to, but as we can see here, because Sickness hasn't actually done a fast expand down to the natural with a forge or otherwise, it's probably not the best idea to go along with that sort of thing. But a lot of lings have been created here by Pet. He's got a bunch out here. We've got 6 out just coming up now, along with a great deal more actually just trying to push up here. This is blocked off for the moment here by Sickness. He does have an extra sentry inside as well. It looks as if he is going to go for a 1-gate expand. A little bit surprised to see that out of him. Usually he's a little bit safer with expansions, but he has decided to go a little bit differently here. We've now got 3 sentries out, a zealot as well, and we'll probably see this go down in just a second. And here it comes. We've got speed already done for these lings. They are going to be blocked out. There's no real way that they can do too much damage here, but we'll see what happens. One of the zealots is trying to push up here. He's not going to get through. The ling's just pressuring that nexus on the opposite side. Will Sickness have to cancel this? It looks as if he may have to. Does get the cancel, and that is really good there for Pet. He's been able to just slow down the progression for Sickness there, not letting him get that natural up as quick as he would want. Meanwhile, Pet has just gotten his own expansion just done now, and he's going to crank out a few more drones, just sitting on 1 gas at the moment as well. So good stuff there from Pet, and Sickness is trying to lure in some of those lings, but obviously Sickness will not lose that sentry this early on. That would be a big mistake, and he now has 3 gates just on the way. A couple just about to just morph in now, and then he'll be able to really bolster up this force and perhaps go for a timing. We'll see if he does go for a little bit of a pressure push at the start of the game. Maybe not the best idea at the moment, considering he knows that Pet has speed done already and a few lings out on the map, so it'll be easily detected. and then possibly deflected as well. But it looks as if he is going to get that Twilight Council up and running. It's just started now. Perhaps going to switch into that DT and go for that DT attack that we saw him go for in the previous game. If he does that, I'll be really interested to see how Pet actually deflects that. We saw in that previous game between Sin and Shin and Sickness that Sin was just not prepared for DTs at all. They have made a little bit of a comeback in this matchup, so I'll be interested to see if a quality player like Pet is prepared for the DTs, and we'll see in just a minute. But it looks as if he is actually going to get a Hydra Den up. We do have that just morphing in here. Where is it actually? There it is. It's at the main base. The lair is done. Roach Warren also done. Evo Chamber coming through as well. Once we'll probably see that switch into some missile attack upgrades going along there from Pet. There it is. He's just going to start that up. There it is. Beautiful timing, and he's going to get probably the Groove Spine, so the Hydras can do some dancing. There they go. And now we'll see if he's going to go for a timing attack here. He certainly could. There's the possibility that he could just march up here with some roaches and then get a whole heap of damage done. Some of the Lings just sneaking inside here, and Sickness is unfortunately not totally prepared for that, but the Lings are taken out. Well, one is taken out, and then a couple more still inside. It looks as if he's trying to get some more damage done. There is he can detect obviously that there is not too much here for Sickness to defend, so that means that there could be something in the middle of the map, and there is indeed an Overseer just floating by. We'll catch that the sentries are in the middle there. Probably don't want to use those sentries to try and attack the Overseer. It's way too fast for the sentries to keep up with, and given that they only shine flashlights at their opponent, they probably won't be able to do too much. But Sickness looks as if he is comfortable for the moment. Going to head out and grab a pylon here just at the front of the door. Just going to probably try and actually make this choke a little bit smaller so he can use the sentries with all of their energy to sort of just block out his opponent. We did hear that a couple of Hydras were ready for Pet. He's got a few of these out, +1 to missile attacks, half done, and the Groove Spines is already done, and plus the Roach move speed is actually just complete now as well. So I think we may see a bit of a push here from Pet. A little bit surprised that he hasn't actually spread this creep out a bit further, but he is trying to get that out. The Hydra's now racing towards the opposite side of the map. Once they get there, of course, they can certainly do a lot of damage against gateway units, and with only sentries and zealots out, this could get a little bit messy here for Sickness unless he's very careful. He does have a couple of stalkers inside the main base as well. They're going to be useful, but not totally awesome against this Hydra mix that's coming along here from Pet. He's going to use the high ground vision there from the Overseers to take down one of the pylons. In fact, the Overseer may be taken out here, and does get it. Going to take out those little changelings that subtly just dropped into the base here for Sickness, and now he's going to try and push up. I don't think this is the best idea. There's a lot of force fields available here for Sickness to use. He can segment some of these units out, and he does that, grouping up some of these units inside the force fields, just trapping them as best as possible. And with all of these force fields here, he's going to get a lot of damage done to some of these units. Perhaps a little bit of a mistake there from Pet. And Sickness about to get a Colossus out. This is not the best time to be attacking, I don't think. But now with a lot of force fields being used up, Hydra's down the bottom of the ramp trying to shoot up against some of those gateway units. Blink is also done, so the Stalkers are going to be easily able to defend here. And Pet really should pull back. He does have a lot more coming through, though. He's got Roaches coming along, and they're going to be able to help out, but I still don't think it's the best idea to push this any further, and he looks as if he agrees. He's going to get the third base up instead of going too hard on those units. So Sickness defending nicely there, using those force fields to just really group up and capture some of those units. With the Colossus out now, he should be able to clean up the rest of this, but unfortunate force fields there, not grabbing everything he wanted to, and now the Colossus is in a little bit of danger perhaps if Pet tries to push up. Bit of micro there from Sickness, pulling the Colossus back, keeping that alive for the moment, and it will go to the high ground, keeping in mind that the Colossus on the high ground can still be attacked, so he will be able to hit that if he can, and he does actually take care of the Colossus, as second one has now popped out. The extended thermal lance is also in under fire as well. Not actually targeting it down, trying to get this Colossus before it can get too much damage done, and the Probe's coming to the rescue there. A little bit the unlikely saviors for that Colossus. The Probe's coming out, holding up the Roaches. The Colossus will escape on 29 HP. Now Sickness has done a good job defending that. He's getting the third base up and running now as well, so we'll be in a really nice position to try and defend any further attacks. So looking to see if Pet is just going to head back to base and get his third up and running. He really does need to get that going, because if he doesn't, he's going to be facing a 3-base Protoss, and when he's only at 3 bases himself. So we'll see if he's going to try and take perhaps this base in the middle. It's not a gold, because that the gold ladder version of this map got a little bit out of control, especially when against Terrans. And we'll see how Pet is going to proceed from here. He doesn't have the infestation pit out just yet, so just waiting to see if he does proceed to that tech. We'll need to get the gas up at the third base if he wants to be able to crank out some of those higher tech units, such as the infestors or anything above that. And Sickness out, just walling off this base here. Got a couple of cannons to defend along with a gateway wall as well. I actually like to wall this off at the top of the ramp. It's personal preference, of course, how you wall. I don't think there's actually a specific better way to do it. But I actually just like walling off here, because it means that your cannons can shoot down the ramp where things get choked up a little bit. Of course, this area is still quite minimal itself, but I'm just not sure if that's the most optimal way to do it. But the infestation pit now complete. Fungal growth is going to be used very soon with the pathogen glands on the way. Infestors are going to come out and going to be able to take care of the big group of stalkers that's out. Although there's not a huge amount comparatively to where we would normally be. Of course, Sickness had to spend a lot defending this the natural expansion there. Another Colossus on the way, plus 2 to weapons also going to be done for that as well. He's going to be in a really nice position, especially as a 3-base Protoss against a 3-base Zerg. Now, Sickness is just scouting around at the moment, can see that there is still a big Hydra Roach mix here. It's going to be good that he's got those Colossi out, because of course they will be able to easily deal with the Hydras once they get into larger numbers. And we'll see how he goes from here. It looks as if he has pushed out into the middle of the map. Going to be prepared to defend that. A Changeling now running up here. He's not going to get too far. Does find that there is a third base there, and a cannon takes that out. Good spotting there from Sickness to find that the Changeling was there. It was about to die anyway, so I don't think it was too much of a problem, but he's good enough to kill it anyway. Now Xenix Pet, what is he up to here? He does have some roaches on the way, some more infestors, nicely timed so that the fungal growth is, the pathogen glands is already done by the time these infestors come out, but it looks as if the laser death ball is already prepared for Sickness here. He's got some good force fields, good amount of force fields available. Guardian Shield going up. You can see that his opponent is just ahead of him. A big group of those units there now trying to push up. We'll see if he can capture some of these. He does. A nice group of force fields here blocking off that ramp, and we'll be able to clean up some of the Zerg units. More Stalkers now warping in here for Sickness. He's got a couple of proxy pylons here. A lot of these Stalkers going to be doing a huge amount of damage here. Here we go. We've got infestors. They are now in position. It looks as if they won't be able to get too many fungals off, because they have been absolutely obliterated there by the Colossi. But now a few fungal growths do go down. It looks as if Sickness is prepared for this, though. He's got the Colossi in the mix. They are now going down, though. This trade could be pretty even. We can see that he does bring in a third Colossus up to the side, and then the rest of these forces do go down. I think Sickness is in a really nice position now. He's got the Observer to help out, spotting to clear some of these creep tumors, and now with is it two Colossi or is it just one? No, it's just one Colossus now. So he still can push. He's just got to be a little bit more careful than before. Some nice micro would go would definitely help out here for Sickness, but he's fighting the Zerg on creep. I don't know if that's the best idea. The Hydra's trying to push in to take care of that Colossus, but good micro to pull it back. And then I think that is pretty much going to be done for Pet here. He's in a lot of trouble. He's still on the 3 bases against the 3-base Protoss. More Stalkers are no doubt going to warp in shortly. Sickness now picking up that extra Colossus, finally getting that started. He does actually have double Robo here, so he could get another one started, and he does indeed. Going to chrono that out, head back to the middle, and just camp up. Needs to head back here, get his shields back on some of these units. Of course, this Colossi lost a lot of its shields, and bring in some more units and prepare for another attack. He's in such a good position because what he can do here is actually control where his opponent expands. He's covering this middle section here. This is a little bit too far away for Pet to expand to, and it looks as if Pet is deciding that this 4th base across to this side is going to be the best way to proceed from here. It still seems as though it's a little bit late to be expanding now, especially when your opponent is on 3 bases and there are double Colossi in production, but Pet has got a lot of drones. Wow, they're all transferring across despite the lack of hatchery over there. Very surprised to see that. He's not. Does he even know where his opponent is? No, he doesn't. So a little bit surprising to see that he's just pushing across with all those drones before the hatchery is even done. And there it finally gets started in just a second. There it is. He puts that down. The drones are going to be in trouble if they try and push back down again. 3 Colossi out now for Sickness. He's got the +2 to weapons all done. Stalker's now blinking forward to take care of the destructible debris, and we'll see how Zenek's Pet is going to deal with this. He's got a lot of Hydras out still, but there's just not enough to deal with 3 Colossi. That is so much area effect damage being done, and drones are being roasted by the minute here. We've got 13 going down. More are going to be dying in just a second as well. It looks as if Pet has decided that it's time to base trade here. He's going up with every single unit he has. A couple of Infestors in the mix. The Corruptors, for some reason, are also up here, despite all the Colossi being in the middle of the map. And Sickness has decided he needs to defend, so he is going to come back with all of those units there. And now the probes are going to have to retreat. That third base is in jeopardy, and the Stalker's now blinking in. He is going to be able to take out some of these units before they can get into trouble. And the probes going down to a huge fungal growth from Pet. He's cleared out a lot of those probes. I'm not sure if this is going to bring him back in the game, because once he loses all of these forces, he effectively has nothing aside from a few Broodlords that are now morphing in. The natural Nexus does stay alive, so does the Nexus at the third. So Sickness in a good spot despite losing a lot of those probes there. He's now down to 34 probes. 46 drones are left for Pet. He's going to try and boost that up just a little bit more. These guys just heading across to that fourth base are going to try and get some mining there, but with the third base gone, then we're back to 3 versus 3 bases here, and that gives Sickness the huge advantage, especially when you've got all of these Stalkers available. And there it is. Game over from Zenek's Pet. Taken out by a nice couple of timing attacks there from Sickness, using these Colossi to great effect, clearing out the Hydras and the Roaches after a very early defense there against a Hydra Roach push. So hope you guys like that one. This is a best of 5, so we'll go into the next game and see if Pet can come back, or if Sickness is going to take this next one and proceed to game 3. I'll find you guys there. Cheers.